Alright, hello, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to do another one of these where these senators speak a bunch of nonsense, and I'm just assuming this because they're all like this. I guess there's maybe a couple, but Ted Cruz calls out Top Gun 2 for caving to China's censor demands. Who cares? This is virtue signaling from Ted Cruz, or so it sounds like. So we're gonna watch this together. I'm gonna pause and make comments as we go. I'm gonna get frustrated a little bit, probably, because this is not what I want from politicians at all. I think we've got way too many of them. If you like what I'm doing, hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. I've got Patreon and Subscribe Star. And let's see what my senator here from Texas is going to say.
As the chairman is aware, this particular amendment has been a subject of considerable discussion and negotiation. I'd hoped that Senator Merkley and I could reach common ground on this amendment. This amendment has similarities to...
I'm getting fed up with that. Finding common ground. It's like I don't give a damn about finding common ground with you. Is it right or is it wrong? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. It's just, that's something that you hear with politics and with the media. And anything that comes from them, I don't trust, I don't like. That's the only time I hear this.
An amendment and a bill that I've introduced and advocated for repeatedly called the Script Act that is focused on the persistent pattern of censorship coming out of Hollywood. As America produces movies, American movie producers have demonstrated a repeated willingness to censor our movies to please the Communist Party in China and the censors coming out of China.
Who cares? So what? If they want those movies censored, how about you mind your own business there, Karen? It's like, I don't give a damn. You know what? How about you reverse that? If China was producing some kind of movie, propaganda, whatever, and we decided as a nation that we wanted it censored for whatever reasons, who the hell is China to tell us what we can and cannot do? So who are we to tell China? No, I'm not a fan of China, not at all. But I'm not stupid. It's like, if this is what they want to do, then let them. It's just like those people that live in these cities where they riot and they burn the place down and they're like, we want to defund the cops. Okay, well, let them. I don't live there. Defund them. Let them burn their places down to the ground. I don't want to have the federal government sending them money because they're a bunch of screw-ups. It's like, I don't want that. But if they want to burn it all down, it's like, well, it's theirs. They live there. Let them do it. And they can suffer in their own little waller about that nonsense. So, yeah. China wants to do it. So what? It's none of our business. Virtue signaling little Karen Ted Cruz here.
And working with Senator Merkley, I agreed in my amendment to add his language focusing on social media, education, travel, financial services, manufacturing, technology, telecommunication, internet infrastructure, expanding the scope beyond just Hollywood. So I added the language that Senator Merkley proposed, but nonetheless, we did not.
I don't care. So what? If these internet companies, if they want to censor and do all that stuff, I don't care. I mean, literally, the right answer is make your own. You know, it's the big tech and the big government that's doing all this crap in the first place. Why are you... I will build my internet site. And I will do it without the damn government. And I will do it without Hollywood and the media. One of the things that's going to make it different is that the users are going to have all the power. I'm going to give them every iota of power that I can possibly manage to muster, which is pretty much just limited to my imagination. If I can think it up, I'm going to have it go into the hands of you, the users. You don't like something? Mute it, block it, delete it. I don't know. I don't care. Whatever it is that we can manage. If I can make it happen, I'm going to make it happen, and that's what you're going to decide for yourself. Live your life, freedom of expression, however you choose, more power to you. So, yeah, and so if this is what these big tech companies want to do, fine. I'm making my own, and I'm going to do it backwards because it's all clown world nonsense drivel. It's like, oh, they have too much power. Okay, well then how about somebody creating a company that's the opposite way? I know exactly what to do with this.
Not reach common ground, and so the difference between what I've introduced and what Senator Merkley's introduced is twofold.
What, you mean you don't have common ground with China? You want to impose on China? Man, the level of privilege coming from America and our senators, it's like, oh, we're so right and virtuous that we can demand other nations. And this is their mindset. Same thing with Joe and Hunter Biden, where they're doing that crap in the Ukraine, and with China, it's like, are you out of your mind? You were not elected to be put into office so you could line your pockets for your family or your friends. Screw all that nonsense. But that's what they do. That's what they all do.
Number one, my amendment explicitly addresses the political censorship. And the political censorship from the Chinese Communist Party is particularly sensitive. It is their focus.
So what? That's their problem. That's their issue. When the hell did you become Chinese?
My amendment defines political content and the political censorship as content that is considered sensitive by the Chinese Communist Party or the government of the People's Republic of China for political reasons, including issues related to human rights, freedom of expression, Taiwan, Tibet, Hong Kong, and the Tiananmen Square massacre.
That massacre is old. It sucks. It's horrible. It's bad. But it's not virtue signaling. All those things were virtue signals. So let's go ahead and let's play the game and let's say that he gets this through. Then what? What happens then? Okay, well then they don't go through and they don't censor these movies. You know what China's going to do? They're not going to show the movies at all. So what does that mean? That means that China isn't going to pay for these movies, and that means less money is going to flow from China to America. Good job! You've made America poor. We have an opportunity to take money from China and bring it to the U.S. by selling our movies over there and our merchandise and everything else that we can think of, and you just took it all away. For what? For nothing. Now you went from movies that were censored to absolutely no movies at all. Good job.
Also concerning the repression of the Uyghurs, the Falun Gong, and other religious and spiritual minorities, and the ongoing genocide of the Uyghurs, including through coercive birth prevention.
You know what? If that is something that's going on, which it could be, I don't know, I don't keep on with it, that might require more of a military action. It's just something else that you're adding to it because you're just clicking all your little check boxes with all that stuff. And, you know, if they're doing this stuff with these Muslims, it's like, then why are they there? You know, if they're rounding them up and they're doing all of this stuff, why don't they go to another country? It's not like there aren't plenty. You can't tell me that there's not one country somewhere in the world that they could go to. I mean, we seem to be letting in everyone underneath the sun. So, you know, if you really wanted to help them, then why don't you go over there and you try talking to China and saying something like, we will help transport these people someplace else so then they're no longer in your country. You know, perhaps somewhere in the Middle East where it has a stronger Muslim community. How about that? You would think that that would work for them.
Policies in Uyghur concentrated areas, such as forced abortions, involuntary sterilizations, and the involuntary implantation of
I do not feel sorry for people who do not get up off their butts and leave.
Contraceptives. Senator Merkley's language deletes all.
You know, now it would be different if they are being forced there under the barrel of a gun. But as far as I know, they're not. I mean, if they really hated them and they're doing all these things, then you would think that they would welcome the opportunity to get rid of them and be like, yeah, get out of here, see ya, bye. But they stay. So do not talk to me like you're some kind of expert on this. You haven't. You're not.
All of that. I think it's a mistake to delete all of that. That is clearly a central concern for the Chinese Communist Party, and I think it's important that we focus the study in particular on their political censorship. The other thing that Senator Merkley's version deletes is the explicit focus on Hollywood, on films and television, and producing a list in particular of any United States company that has altered the content of a film in response to or in anticipation of a request from the Chinese Communist Party. And I think it is important.
I don't care. You know what? They do a few things right, like the building of the Great Green Wall versus the Great Yellow Snake, with the encroaching of the desert onto more of their lands, and they're out there planting all those trees and bushes and grasses and everything else, and they're reclaiming this. And they've told these ranchers and herders of animals that they can no longer just free graze their animals out there, killing all of these young plants that are supposed to grow up to continue the cycle of life, where these plants grow and then the leaves fall and decay, and it makes a really good topsoil. But that doesn't happen whenever you have, all these sheep and lamb and cattle and stuff just eating everything up, and there's nothing that's putting it in balance because they've killed all of the predators there. And so it's just a one-sided devastation thing that's going on over there, and they're saying no more of this. Great. One of the things that they're also doing is that instead of them attacking straight men, they're promoting them. And they're telling them, no, be strong, be men, because they have too many SJWs too, where they're coddled. And part of that is that they had that one-child mandate. I think they're actually, that's changed. I think they're up to 2. I don't think they got rid of it. But they had this one-child mandate. And over there in their culture, that you want to have a son, because the son is strong, and he's the one that gets everything, and they've got special privileges for men. And so they were actually killing their daughters or getting rid of them through adoption or doing something because they needed the sons. And right now the population is like nuts because there's like 2 or 3 times as many young men as there are young women. And so it's like, yeah, that's obviously stupid. Who are these young men supposed to marry if you're telling them that they can only have one child and you're pushing it all to be males? I mean, I guess if you want some kind of population control, maybe, because they do have over 1 billion people. Our population is roughly around 350 million or 320 million, somewhere in there. Add 1 billion to it. That's where China is. So, maybe that was part of it. Maybe it was a calculated move in those regards. So, but yeah, and so they do a few things right where they're teaching these men to be men, and they don't like feminism and this SJW nonsense. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure they hated like the Captain Marvel movie, that they just probably just, I won't go into, I'm sure that they were pissed that they didn't like that kind of thing. You know what is interesting though, if you ever want to see something that's kind of uplifting, they have video clips of theaters around the world where they show Marvel movies, and it's great watching all the reactions of Endgame whenever they're fighting Thanos. Like whenever Steve Rogers picks up Thor's hammer. Everybody's yelling and cheering. You know why? Because they all have shared values. They don't go around saying, hey, I'm a straight white man, so I'm just automatically good. No, they talk about their values all the time, so examples of this would be like Steve Rogers, where he's talking to Tony Stark, and how are we going to beat that up there? And he's like, together. And that's a big thing with Steve Rogers. With the Age of Ultron, he was talking that way quite a bit, and with Civil War, that I'm going to be there for people and being responsible for myself, and that you're just shifting the blame whenever you sign that piece of court stuff. It's like, that is great. And I think, yes, people around the world could relate to that pretty damn well, and that's why they were cheering for him. Not like Captain Marvel. Well, I'm a woman and I'm white. Or, well, I guess not white, but I'm a woman and so I know better and everything's going to work out great. Watch a video. Mauler. That's the name of the YouTube channel. Mauler. And find his video where he critiques Captain Marvel. It's like he goes through the entire movie and it's just absolutely one insanely stupid thing after another. It's ridiculous. I didn't realize how inept I was with my critiquing of movies, but it was like, I know if I hadn't watched that, I would have thought, yeah, it's a fine movie. No, it's not. It absolutely isn't. It's garbage.
In particular, to provide the transparency, what movies are being censored, what American movies are being
None
censored.
of your business.
And Senator Merkley's amendment deletes that provision and instead lumps film in with everything else. I think we have a unique and serious problem with
No,
Hollywood
we don't.
being all too willing and even eager to play the role of censor for the Chinese Communist Party. And so accordingly,
So let's say they do that.
my second degree amendment.
What are we going to do in
Cruz
return?
which is a second degree amendment to Merkley 3. And what the second degree amendment does is simply goes back to the original language that includes.
They don't have to worry about our amendments to any bills because they're not Americans.
Focus on political issues, includes Tibet, includes the Falun Gong, includes the Uyghurs, includes the horrific human rights.
So let me get this right. You think with the Uyghurs and with Taiwan and Hong Kong that the way to help them is by pushing this agenda of uncensoring American movies? What? This is just clown world backwards stupid nonsense. If you wanted to help them, this is it? You couldn't think of anything better? You're listing them on here like this means something. It doesn't.
Focus, and it also specifically calls for developing a public list and public reporting of what U.S. film companies are editing what movies.
Now, we can do that. We can make up a list for our own information to know about which companies are doing this, and maybe there are some people out there who would want to boycott or not go watch those movies where this is going on. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. You know what? You want to point that at Americans and something that maybe Americans need to do and be aware of. It's like, sure, I guess. Why not? If that's what you want to do, if that's what floats your boat. I don't think necessarily that's something that the government needs to do because there's no reason why people themselves can't just do that. So, I don't want to waste taxpayer-funded money to promote that kind of stuff. I mean, unless if you can tie something that's more substantial to the nation and our security for something, then no. You can shut the hell up and go find something to do that's more worthwhile than this.
At the request of the Chinese Communist Party, and so I would ask for a vote on the Cruz Second Amendment.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Merck.
Thank you. Let me point out several things.
Is this somewhere? Where is this place? Why does this place look so dingy? Of all the money that they get, I mean, this place just looks dingy and dark. It's what? An old disgusting carpet that looks like that it needs to be ripped up and replaced. And what do they have? Just regular folding tables with black cloths over them? This is supposed to be somewhere in the U.S. Capitol and Congress or the Senate or whatever, and it's just like this is it, really?
The list that my colleague refers to
FYI.
on political content is under a definition of political content, which was required because he uses the term political content later in his amendment, so it's a definitional presentation, not instruction.
Here, let me throw you a question out here. How many Chinese people do you think are watching this right now going, oh no? To help maybe answer that for those of you who don't know how to answer this, ask it in reverse. how much of this are you watching with China and what they're doing with their government because you think that they're not doing the same thing, that they're not talking about America and the government and its people, that they don't have the same kind of ridiculous conversations that are going on? Have you ever watched any of those? Have you ever gone, gasp, what shall we do? Hell no, who gives a damn? They don't care either.
For the report.
Nor should they.
That doesn't appear in our basic amendment because we don't use the term political comment. And then the second is, what we have done in this is said we want to focus the attention on what the Chinese government is doing. So we want it to be comprehensive. And we list out all of the areas where freedom of expression is being impacted. Media.
That is not your job. It'll be my job. That's exactly the name of my site, or might be the name of my site, freedom of expression, so that you can express yourself. And you know what we don't need? We don't need politicians, because I'm going to build that damn thing, and no matter what it takes, and I'm not going to stop until it gets built, because I'm so fed up with this. I don't need you, what's your damn name, Mr. Whatever, or Ted Cruz, or anybody else telling me what I can or cannot say. And nobody needs that. I want up-to-date, accurate information, and the best way to do it is through people. As many as you can get your hands on, without doing it at the barrel of a gun, which is exactly what the government is. They are force. They have a monopoly on force and even killing. I mean, it's them. They're the only ones that can kind of operate almost without impunity. Depends, but that's it. It's like, no, don't need that.
Yeah, social media, film, education, travel, financial services, sports, entertainment.
I don't care. Well, so what? Travel, sports, entertainment, social media, who cares? You know what, now, if you're going to say something like, TikTok is a Chinese app, and they're using that to spy on Americans, it's like, okay, that's something different where you're talking about security. Are there some people who have TikTok on their phone and it's being accessed at critical moments and they're getting some information that they shouldn't? It's like, okay, well, that's something right there. But this is just nothing.
Technology, telecommunications, internet infrastructure.
Now, supposedly that's also a thing with, not TikTok. What is it? Some kind of phone app, I think, or maybe phone company that they have. Yeah, phone company, because they want to come over here and be in competition with us. But one of the problems that they think that's going on is that they're going to be able to listen into the conversations that the people are having. And whenever you have these phones in the hands of people who might be in high levels of power and they're unaware of all this stuff and they're speaking all this stuff over the phone to their friends, family, and co-workers and business partners or whatever, how much secretive information is being given over the phone, and then you would just be giving that over to China. It's like, okay, that's something. But they haven't listed any of that stuff. So
now we ask for the report to include illustrative examples. Explain to us exactly what is being done by the Chinese.
Okay.
And that's to get to the sort of point that I certainly share, is we need to understand exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
Now, I think all of you have seen from various press reports that some of our hotels have changed their activities.
So?
And I'd be happy to give some examples of that. A group of our airlines have changed their activities, and we can give examples. Some of our famous retailers have changed the expressions they have on their products. Be happy to give examples.
Give examples of how this affects our national security. Go ahead.
I'm happy to share. The point here is, this is about analyzing what China is doing across all of these categories, not to pick a particular category, film. And
so you want to go in and make them stop censoring and changing all these things. And so what's China going to do? They're just going to automatically listen to America and whatever it is that we say? Or is it going to be just like before, where I was just saying they're just going to stop doing it at all? And all these companies are going to get kicked out. And it's going to stop the flow of money from China to America. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Not.
Make it essentially what appears to be a direct effort to criticize the American film industry. We want the the focus to be on what China is doing. If we were to have the same detail, we should have it, or if we were approaching it to say, let's single out just film and give these examples, well, why not how our universities have responded? Why not how our airlines have responded? Why not have our hotels? It's just, rather than being an attack on Hollywood, this is an analysis of what China's doing in all these sectors with an instruction for them to provide the examples of what's going on. So there will be...
Who cares, you snowflake? I am not affected at all by this. And if I am, it's because there's more money over here, which, great, better in America than in China. I don't see how this helps anything. They haven't said anything that I can relate to.
The examples
Just a bunch of
in all these
buzzwords.
sectors. But I don't want to convert this bill in simply an attack on Hollywood. I'd invite Senator Cruz to introduce his own amendment separate to be considered if he wants to focus in that detail in that fashion.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Cruz.
if I could respond to that, as I mentioned, I agreed with Senator Merkley to expand the scope of it. I agree that China is imposing restrictions on a host of areas, whether the NBA or otherwise. And so I think that was a positive suggestion from Senator Merkley that I agreed to. I do think we have a unique problem.
Here's another example. If this was between states instead of nations, if this was, say, the California government trying to tell the Texas government what we should or should not do, I would say, you can get out of here. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. All right, continuing on.
Problem with Hollywood and Hollywood playing the role of censors. Senator Merkley asked, well, how are
So anyways, what if this was between two states? If California was trying to tell Texas what to do, or vice versa, you can change it up anyway between any two states. Take your pick. Pick the state that you would hate living in the most, and they were trying to tell you what you're going to do. Say that they were producing some kind of content, and they were that they were trying to tell you what you could or could not show at your home with your state. Would you like that? I wouldn't. I'd tell California to get the hell out of my face. They can stay over there, and if that's what they want to show or not show, knock yourself out. But I don't live there. Bugger off.
airlines or hotels different? Well, they're different because they're not content providers. Censorship is not the same sort of threat with an airline or hotel. There are certainly airlines and hotels that accede to pressure.
Same thing. If California opens up hotels or whatever kind of business over here, yes, we have our own different set of rules and laws and regulations that we have. It's because we're not California. We are Texas. If we wanted to be Californians, if we wanted to live under those rules, then we would go move to California and we could have all of that stuff that they're doing over there. Great, whatever, who cares? Same thing in reverse. You know what? You want to come and live here in Texas because you like what's going on here? Fine, go ahead, great. You live here, you're going to have to do what we've all passed into law and what our policies and laws and regulations are. It's like, go ahead, fine. So,
From communist China, but when it comes to censorship of creative output, that is something Hollywood is directly responsible for. The principal difference between Senator Merkley's version and my version is whether or not we would produce a list of what movies are being censored as a result of pressure from communist China. It doesn't impose any penalties. It simply has transparency. Do the American...
well, why do you keep calling them communist China? I know it's part of their name. The Chinese Communist Party, but that's the party. It's China. I don't think that they're going around saying capitalist America. Maybe they are. But it's like, so what? Who cares? It's okay.
People have a right to know what movies are being censored. We know, for example, that Top Gun 2, that they removed the patches from the back of Maverick's jacket because you had Taiwan and Japan there. The Communist Party of China didn't like Taiwan and Japan on the back of Maverick's jacket. And so Hollywood is telling America now Maverick, probably the greatest Navy recruiting film ever produced, is scared of the Chinese communists and changed his jacket not to offend.
Who cares? Who cares? I don't watch Chinese movies. I can't imagine that there's just going to be this great upheaval from the Chinese people. Oh, we're getting our movies uncensored, or they're going to stop playing them at all? What are you talking about? It's nonsense.
We know that Bohemian Rhapsody, a fabulous biopic of Freddie Mercury, they edited out scenes of homosexual sex because the Chinese apparently were offended by them. I don't know how anyone tells the story.
So what? Who cares?
Of Freddie Mercury without acknowledging that he was gay, and yet Hollywood, those great social justice warriors, happily edited those scenes out to appease the Chinese communists.
There's just 30 seconds left. That's the gist of it. It's virtue signaling from all these politicians. They don't care about what's right or wrong. The right answer is that's on them. If this is what they've chosen to do, then so what? More power to them. Let them do what they want to. And if they don't like it, then that's their problem for them to deal with. This reminds me of a story that I heard where there was a county in Florida where they decided to, they wanted, and I don't think this is right the more that I hear about it, or think it over. They wanted government funding for Christian schools or for Christian clubs at school. Went to court, supposedly they won, and then what ended up happening was that all religions ended up getting funding for it. So apparently there was a Satanist organization there. I can't imagine there were too many people, but everybody has to be treated equally. The organizations, all this stuff, and so if one religious organization is getting funding, then they all do. Congratulations, good work. You lost. Because I can't imagine, again, that group was very large, so they couldn't have gotten funding to do very much. But the Christian group was apparently strong enough. Of course, it would be them. It wouldn't have been the other way around. The Satanist group wouldn't have been able to have gotten anywhere with it. But since there were so many Christians, it's like they could have done this themselves. If they were really this concerned about it, why didn't one of them just step up and do something? Ridiculous. So, yeah, I don't care for any of these politician hacks and all this virtue signaling. It's like you can't come up with anything better to do. I don't give a damn if he's my senator or not. That doesn't mean a damn thing to me. So, anyways, I'm going to stop. If you like what I'm doing, which you should, I mean, I'll tear apart anybody, anything, whether it be right or wrong. I'm not trying to change your mind either with this stuff, as I say multiple times. I'm just trying to show that there are lies. I figured out a way to deal with this. It's really good. It's going to make things a hell of a lot better. So I need your help. So please, if you could, give a thumbs up, give a like, subscribe. I've got Patreon, Subscribe Star, and that's what I have available to me right now. So it's the only way that you can help me out, and I would appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and we will see you again later. Bye.